the evil side. Like, what if that is true? What if one day I wake up and my hands are covered in blood and I don't know what I've done? Hi, my name is Bo, and I suffer from dissociative identity disorder.
How many personalities do you have?
Up to about 10, roughly, that come out more often, but there are in total about between 25 and 30, we're not 100% sure, because sometimes they can only come out for like a minute or just a brief moment, you know, so it's hard to track all of the little parts as well, but there are about 10 main people that come forward.
And what makes them come out?
Usually it's triggers, more often negative triggers, so being reminded of a traumatic experience. It could just be something that reminds you of a time, music or smells, could take you back to a certain time that was traumatizing. Sometimes you can get positive triggers, so it could be like a positive smell that takes you back or associated with a certain part. But yeah, triggers is the main cause.
When did you first realise that this was a thing?
Probably when I was like 15, 16. All of my friends in school started telling me that I would do these things and say these things and call them names and all sorts that like never, from my perspective, never happened. It started to get to the point where it was like multiple friends telling me. That's when I started to realise like, oh, maybe it's not just like memory loss, maybe something is actually happening.
Do you think maybe you were going crazy at first or?
Yeah, 100%. I grew up on like Jekyll and Hyde and that sort of thing. So you hear a lot about the evil split personality with a good side and a bad side. And I was terrified that that was me, that I was this good side that never wanted to hurt anybody and would never hurt a fly. And then there was this evil side to me that would hurt my friends and try to hurt me and say all these evil things. You know, I had it in my head that like I could hurt somebody, that especially with Jekyll and Hyde, like he's portrayed as a murderer, you know? So I was always afraid that I would hurt somebody and not have any recollection of it. Just this good and evil side, not realizing how like multi-dimensional the disorder actually is.
Tell me about this evil side. What kind of thoughts were you having?
She's been around the longest. She's very aggressive. I think it's a protective measure. But yeah, she would burn me. She would always try and hurt me. She would call my friends horrible names, try to hurt them, try to physically hurt them. For a long time, all my friends thought it was me, just being weird, I guess. And it wasn't until one of my friends actually said, "You're not Bo, are you?" And that's when people started to realize that there was actually something else going on. For a couple of years, I thought I was possessed, that I had like a demon in me, or I was possessed by a ghost, or just all of these sorts of crazy things that you get told, like from media, that, yeah, you're crazy, and you're going to hurt someone. When like, that's my worst nightmare.
You say she, does she have a name?
She's called Texas. Don't know where the name came from. That's the thing with a lot of it, with the ideas, it just kind of happens to you. You don't really get to choose. She has high delusions, I know that. She believes that she's from a different time period. She believes that her family are long dead. She doesn't like my family. She's got all these strong beliefs that could be quite like damaging, I guess. But she's been around the longest, met all my friends. They all knew it was her. They would call her by her name. It's scary when it happens to you. I get blackout amnesia, which isn't as common with DID, where I feel like I fall asleep. I literally don't remember a thing. It does feel like a possession in a way. This thing just happens to you and you have no control and no say, and you don't find out until after.
Can we read Texas?
It's hard unless triggered. I think that's one thing that I think has been a little bit misconstrued online, is that they can be called upon like that. They're all parts of me, technically. They're all fragments of my memory that my brain doesn't want me to remember. A lot of people view it as friends in your head, or like, it's really cool, but it's like a dissociative episode, you know? It's like a panic attack, you know? And when people want that, or try to egg it on, you're putting somebody into like a panic attack, essentially. When it happens to somebody who's suffering with this, it should never be taken as this, wow, it's so fascinating, because they're in distress. Their brain is in such distress that it felt it needed to escape in the only way it knows how. Of course, people want to see it because it is interesting. I can't deny that. But yeah, it's hard to remember that it's a disorder.
So you said there are 10 main personalities. You take me through each one and their names and what they're like.
We have Texas. She's been around the longest. Very aggressive. She has an American accent. She doesn't like anybody, really. We have a child, Alta, who is called Layla. She is forever 6 years old. She loves Easter. She's just pure innocence, you know. There's Toast. Again, no idea where the name comes from. Don't get a choice in that. He is a 12-year-old boy. He is very boisterous, very loud, very aggressive, but it's never meant to be threatening. He swears a lot and is very loud and jokey and aggressive, but in a playful way. We have a newer addition who popped up only in the last few years called H, who again is very aggressive. She has a very strong distaste towards men, I think, again, as a protective measure. Is Tracy, who is a 19-year-old girl and loves to drink, loves to party, is so social, like so much more social than I could ever be. She's like my confidence balled up, you know? Off the top of my head, because like there's loads of names and some of them only popped out for a minute, or yeah, but those are the kind of the main few that pop up.
Do you enjoy being any of those other personalities?
I don't remember it, you know? Do you enjoy when you're asleep, you know?
You don't remember it or feel it at all?
No, not at all. When I'm switching, that moment between the parts, it is like, to me, falling asleep. I, for years back as a teenager, thought I had some form of narcolepsy because that drifting and that fading is exactly the same. That like loss of consciousness. But like when you're actually asleep, you don't remember anything that happens, you know? Somebody draw on your face, you wouldn't remember.
What's the scariest thing that you've discovered you did but you don't remember?
Texas used to try and jump a bridge. There was a footbridge that would go over a motorway in my hometown, and my friend lived the other side of it. And every time we would come up to this bridge, my friends would grab me by the arms. They would have me like this by the arms and holding on to me for dear life. And it took weeks of this happening for me to finally say, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? They then would explain to me that as soon as we stepped onto that bridge, I would claw at them, hit them, run away from them as fast as I could and try and jump over the bridge. Like literally climb over the banister and jump into traffic. And they'd pull me off every time. That it ended up on me on the floor, me with grazes because of how aggressively she tried to jump off a bridge. That like really put the fear in me. Ever since then, I've been like terrified of them because they could do that. Like if my friends weren't there, she could have jumped and I wouldn't be here. It was that quick, that easy. She would burn me under hot taps, all sorts of stuff, just to hurt me, you know?
How has this affected you and your friendships, relationships, family?
Don't have a great relationship with my family. It's not the best. Certain people in my family were afraid that a diagnosis would like affect my future, when like really it should just be get the person help, you know? It's a curable disease with the right therapy, so shouldn't be afraid of the diagnosis. I've had friends be afraid. I remember telling a friend once and her response was, well, what do they want? And I was like, I don't know. What kind of question is that? You know, like I've just explained that I'm suffering with something and your first thing is fear of that they want something from you. And so like we weren't friends anymore, you know, like I've lost a lot of friends from people who like don't understand it. I recently got out of a long-term relationship, but it didn't really affect my relationship then. My partner had a great relationship with a lot of them, was good at recognizing the differences. Yeah, it didn't really affect it too much. I heard
Partner would actually talk to the other personalities.
Yeah. Like, I was good friends with a couple of them, would be somewhat of like a caregiver or a parental figure for the children, adapting well for the different parts, you know, like if it's a younger child, maybe playing a video game with them or whatever, you know, making sure that that part is okay because there's a reason they're here. And usually it's distress.
If all your personalities disappeared tomorrow, would you be happy with being you, completely you?
They are very much a part of me, you know, like I said, it like started when I was like young, you know, teen years, so it's been over a decade. So it would be weird if it all just vanished, you know, but I think also it's that knowing who I was meant to be all along in a way. Like if I had Tracy's confidence in me, or even if I had Texas's rage, or anything, you know, it would still be what I was supposed to be. And at least then I wouldn't be like suffering. I do want to get better, but I think I'd be nervous about the change, you know, because it would be weird, them all just leaving. One of the biggest like symptoms that I experience as well is the chatter in the head. The head is never quiet. It's always just constant noise up there. You know, you're hearing voices essentially.
What are they saying?
Most of the time you can't make it out. You know, it will be just kind of like restaurant chatter. But then like occasionally you'll hear just like one sentence, one phrase, you know, like a warning. It will be like, stay away, or go home, or something like that, you know, where somebody has an opinion that stands out a lot more. I would get that a lot with Texas when I was growing up, as she would tell me to stay away or to leave, or that like whoever I was talking to was untrustworthy, or they're going to hurt me, or they're trying to warn you to protect you, you know? So I think that would probably be the weirdest part if it all just vanished, is just that the head would be so quiet all of a sudden. You know, I wouldn't be able to hear anything up there, you know? Like all my thoughts would be mine rather than having like a million voices up there.
What's the hardest part about living with this?
Probably the memory loss for me. It's been a long time since any of them have tried to hurt me, but I still have that fear that they will. So the hardest part is actually just allowing it to happen. It's that not knowing, that uncertainty of just giving full trust to someone else who could do anything. They could cut my hair off, they could give me a tattoo, they could do anything, you know? And it's just trusting that either they won't, or that the people around you have enough sense to know to stop them.
So yeah, do you worry that something bad might happen one day?
Yeah, I think it's always in the back of my brain, you know. It was the main reason that we all started our channels at the beginning, was because there was this stigma that we would hurt somebody. And if you told somebody, I have this condition, I have multiple personality disorder, they would look at you and be afraid. We started this campaign that we aren't killers, we're more likely to harm ourselves, and we are not going to hurt you just because we're suffering, you know, but it'll always be there in the back of your brain, you know, especially with the Jekyll and Hyde, the evil side. Like, what if that is true? What if one day I wake up and my hands are covered in blood and I don't know what I've done? Because it's so blackout, you know, and the most they do is eat snacks and play video games, you know. Yeah, it will always be there, that fear.
And finally, what do you want people watching this to understand about you?
Yeah, that we're not dangerous. I guess that's always the message. That we're not dangerous, that we're not something to be afraid of, but also that we're not making it up. That's the thing that I've seen a lot of lately, is that anybody who seems to be struggling with symptoms of this, they immediately get fake claimed. They immediately get said that they're making it up and they're doing it for attention, when even if they don't have this disorder, they need help. For whatever reason. It could be autism, it could be BPD, it could be anything, but they need help. And it shouldn't be treated with this aggression of they're fake, they deserve hate, they deserve to be bullied. It should be taken with this care, and if you think that will help you, we'll diagnose you, or we'll find what's wrong. At the end of the day, it is a trauma disorder, it comes from trauma, it comes from being abused, and to treat that then with more abuse, more bullying, doesn't make any sense to me. You know, I think we should all just treat each other with kindness.